Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are putting on our animal criminologist hats to investigate what is honestly a massive legal minefield, and it's hiding right in plain sight within canine breeding and training. To help us crack this case, I am super thrilled to welcome Paul Miller from Bay Canine Consulting. Paul, your framework, Ocean of Canine Law, dives deep into the very real dangers of AI misinformation in legal and health documentation. Welcome to the discussion.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I am really excited to break down this framework today and show dog professionals how to build a real, verifiable defense against these crazy AI fabrications we're seeing.
So I want everyone listening to stop and ask themselves a central question right now. Is your breeding program truly legally protected from AI hallucinations? Paul, this is the exact mystery we're solving today. Let's set the stage. Just how big are the stakes if a breeder uses, say, ChatGPT or another AI tool to draft a health guarantee?
Well, the stakes are absolutely massive. If you've used an AI to help draft a contract or any educational materials for your clients, you might be exposing yourself to huge liability without even realizing it. The thing is, AI doesn't understand canine law. We desperately need a verified defense to protect against the false promises it just makes up.
That defense really starts with what I call the strategic roadmap. My framework consists of 11 distinct initiatives, but they are all bound together by one single verified structure. This whole ecosystem is built on genuine, tested legal research, specifically tracking California canine law, right alongside a really strict AI fabrication audit methodology.
Okay, so this isn't just some abstract theory. It actually gives dog professionals a highly defensible starting position against the rampant AI fabrications we're seeing everywhere right now.
Exactly. It's a structured, verified build. We aren't just throwing a bunch of ideas at the wall to see what sticks.
But Paul, I gotta ask, 11 initiatives? That sounds like a lot to manage for an independent business owner who is already juggling a million things. How is this entire ecosystem actually structured to practically protect breeders without causing absolute operational chaos?
Right. We absolutely avoid the chaos by breaking the roadmap down into 4 manageable functional layers. By grouping them this way, breeders can sequence their legal protections safely. You don't have to build everything overnight. First up, we have transparency software for standardized disclosures. Next is the Shield family, which targets specific groups like service dog handlers or trainers. Then we seamlessly integrate legal Shield plans. Finally, we have an AI and compliance audit layer. Think of this last layer as a hallucination virus scan for your business content. It's constantly running in the background, checking your documents to ensure an AI hasn't hallucinated a totally false legal standard.
Okay, Paul, so you have all these shields, software layers, and audits running in the background. It sounds great, but what is the actual technical backbone here? How does a busy breeder or trainer manage all this complex compliance data in one single place without, completely pulling their hair out?
The answer is what we define as the legal ledger. Think of it as your single source of truth. It's a shared compliance record-keeping tool that perfectly logs all your disclosures, certifications, and documentation on a per-client basis. It basically acts as the natural technical infrastructure for your whole business. It's the connective tissue linking the Shield family and those legal Shield plans into one cohesive client record, so your vital legal data isn't scattered across 5 different disjointed systems.
Got it. So that establishes our macro-level structure. Let's put our investigative hats back on and zoom in for a micro-analysis. When we look closely at the AI hallucination audits detailed in your framework, where's the biggest crime happening in canine health claims right now, Paul? Where's the absolute most dangerous legal vulnerability for a breeder today?
Well, the biggest vulnerability boils down to a recurring precision gap between 2 very specific types of claims: deterministic and probabilistic. When breeders use AI to draft health content, the AI routinely blurs the line between genetically deterministic claims, which are predictable biological genotype certainties, and probabilistic claims, which involve predictive clinical variation. The AI constantly mixes up the basic Mendelian genotype math, which is essentially guaranteed, with how the dog actually expresses that gene clinically over its lifetime, which is highly, highly uncertain.
Hold on, so the AI completely mixes up the guaranteed math with the messy clinical reality?
Precisely. Let's look at color dilution alopecia, or CDA, as our primary evidence here. A genetic pairing might produce a specific genotype with 100% certainty. But, and this is key, not every single dog with that exact genotype actually develops clinical CDA. The genotype is certain, the clinical expression is not. If your AI-generated health guarantee borrows the absolute certainty of a genetic claim and applies it to a probabilistic clinical outcome, you have created a massive legal liability for yourself. You are essentially promising a clinical certainty to your buyer that biology simply cannot guarantee.
Wow, that is a terrifying blind spot. So, how do professional breeders actually disclose this complex genetic reality in their contracts to avoid getting sued? What is the direct translation here into actionable advice? We use a strict rule for this called the Predictability and Probability Disclosure Standard. It mandates that any document combining both types of claims must visually or textually separate them, period. If you are a breeder, you have to explicitly state genotype outcome certain, right alongside a totally separate statement that says clinical outcome probabilistic, individual variation applies. This clear visual separation is absolutely crucial for your legal defense because it completely closes the gap where vague AI language obscures the actual genetic reality from your puppy buyer.
But Paul, playing devil's advocate here for a second, couldn't I just use a standard AI-drafted hold harmless clause to protect my breeding program? If the contract fails, why can't I just push the legal blame onto the AI platforms themselves, like Gemini or Claude?
Absolutely not. No way. And I'm really glad you brought this up because it is a massive misconception in the industry right now. Hold harmless provisions only bind the parties who actually sign or agree to them. Think about it. No AI-drafted clause can obligate Google or Anthropic to anything because neither company is a party to your agreement. The release only binds you, the breeder, and your client. Therefore, AI content carries zero warranty from its source platform, and your documents must structurally reflect that harsh reality. Okay, so generic AI clauses are definitely out. We absolutely cannot hide behind ChatGPT. So what is the correct, enforceable architecture breeders actually need to use for an educational disclaimer? How do we build something that will actually stand up to legal scrutiny? We use what I call the four-part standing disclaimer architecture. It's a very specific, verified sequence. First, you must explicitly state the document is for educational purposes only. Second, you declare no attorney-client relationship is formed. Third, and this is vital, jurisdiction-specific verification is required. And fourth is the two-track verification standard. Basically, this means an actual attorney of record review is required before any client-facing release. Human legal review is completely non-negotiable here. You cannot just copy-paste from an AI and hit publish. But Paul, thinking about the operational workflow for a second, before that content even reaches the attorney for that non-negotiable review, how do we classify it? I know your framework utilizes this really interesting reverse hallucination audit to vet information.
Right. Before anything goes to a lawyer, it goes through our strict content classification taxonomy. We literally tag every single piece of content. We ask, is it an island, meaning it's bedrock verified factual information, or is it open ocean, meaning the content is proprietary or analytical? Finally, is it confirmed fabricated AI output? We have to sort it. Applying this exact taxonomy is a breeder's frontline defense. It completely stops you from blindly passing off a hallucinated AI legal standard as a hard fact to your puppy buyers.
Okay, we've covered a lot of high-level legal mapping today, and the risks are clearly immense. But let's translate this into reality. What are the immediate action items for the professional breeders tuning in right now who want to secure their operations today? There are 3 simple, required steps every single breeder should take immediately. First, confirm your acknowledgement mechanisms. An unenforced disclaimer on a web page that nobody actually clicks is legally weak. You need to tie it to a hard click-through button or an actual digital signature. Second, retroactively apply that predictability versus probability split to all your existing health claims right now. Make absolutely sure you aren't promising a clinical certainty based purely on genotype math. And third, confirm your AI platform disclosures are accurate, meaning you only disclose the specific platforms you actually used to generate or audit that exact document. And this brings us to a final, really provocative thought to leave you with. Take a hard look at your current contracts, your website, and your health guarantees. Is your legacy breeding documentation secretly hiding a fabricated AI hallucination? I highly encourage everyone listening to audit your own records using these principles. The ocean of canine law is deep, but with Paul's structural roadmap, you don't have to navigate it blindly. Thank you so much for joining me to crack this case today, Paul.
It was my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me on The Explainer to break this all down. Have a good one.